All right, I've got 12% left on the Osmo. Let's see how far we can get. Welcome back to A Year Ahead, the only podcast. Well, I won't say only because I don't know. I haven't looked into it. But my podcast that's a time capsule where you are hearing this episode a year or more from when it was recorded. It is currently November 18th, 2024. You will not hear this until November 18th, 2025. Or later. I don't know when you're listening to this, but hi, how's it going? Basically, my reason for this podcast is to be able to talk about the things that may not otherwise be able to be talked about in the moment. So if there's something sensitive going on personally, professionally, or otherwise, this is my way to be able to talk about it and still document it with a time delay so that when the episode comes out, hopefully it's irrelevant or null, meaning that it doesn't matter that I talk about it publicly, no matter who it's about, what it's about, stuff like that. I was prompted to do it by some things that were going bad personally that I wanted to still be able to document and talk about because I think it's important for talking about in like my future. But it was nerve-wracking to me. I do apologize in advance. I don't have a microphone this time around, so the audio might be a little janky compared to normal, but it's okay. The last episode I literally recorded in my car, so we're winning for sure. Trying to stay consistent with it, that's for sure. All right, well, let's talk about the things that happened this week that I'm feeling good about, bad about, and otherwise. This week has just been a lot of traveling. I was in Tampa, I was in Miami, I was in Nashville. It was a lot, but one of the conversations that I had that stood out to me the most was with Micah Palace. I was staying with him for a couple days. He's an artist, doing pretty cool things at this point, but he and I sat down with him and his girlfriend, and we talked for probably an hour and a half, 2 hours, I don't know, it felt like that long. And talked about like his faith and my spirituality, and we were really trying to find common ground on like what we believed and stuff like that, and we were just trying to discover what each other believed. And he's a huge believer in Jesus Christ. He's a huge believer in the Bible and Christianity, although he doesn't call himself a Christian. He says he has a relationship with Jesus, right? So that's like his whole thing, and that's great, that's fine. He finds solace in it. What the interesting part was, because I believe a little bit more of in like the world and how it's a new belief for me, a new belief structure, which is kind of this belief in spirituality. Although I don't believe in one God, I'm not entirely, I know that there's something going on here that we probably can't understand, and so with that we were just exploring how he finds comfort in knowing that, God's got him, or that Jesus provides him solace. And I was like, man, like I find similar peace in what I believe as well. And it was just a really good long conversation where I honestly did a lot of personal discovery in that conversation by trying to further understand what I actually believe, because I've been playing around with this new like worldview, and how the world operates in a cyclical way, of energy, and kind of believing in more of like the energy centers and chakras of the body, and believing that we are more powerful than the world has led us to believe. And it was interesting because as I was trying to explain how I believe what I believe, I was actually having to do some mental work to really define my beliefs, because I've just kind of operated on this thing that I understand, but I wasn't able to definitively apply it in conversation, and I was just doing some fleshing out on that front. So it was really, really interesting to get to do that. That stood out to me quite a bit. I also told them about a failed relationship that I had in Nashville and why I decided to move to Tampa instead of Nashville. Partly because that relationship failed, and partly because of signs from the world that I just was not done with Tampa yet. So wanted to stick around with that a little bit. Then I had a shoot in Nashville that I was incredibly grateful to be a part of. Lots of people that have significantly larger channels than I do, significantly more success than I do, all came together to shoot guns, have a good time, test product, and run it. And I'm just so grateful to have put myself in a position where I have the skill set in which I'm valuable in an environment like that, with people that are significantly better and more successful than myself, people that have their own channels, people that create their own content, people that have their own products and are doing millions of dollars a year. And I'm just here as a guy with a camera who has a skill set that they don't have, and that is something I will be incredibly grateful for forever. And they all treated me so well. They were all so nice, so welcoming, so inviting. We had some great jokes and amazing senses of humor in that room and in that field. And man, it was just cool. It was cool to be in a position like that where I was the lowest man on the totem pole, and yet everybody was just there to have a good time. I was just so happy to be there, and they were all so cool. So that was fun. I'm super excited to see how that content turns out. We filmed a lot of stuff, lots of intro stuff, lots of content for the individuals, lots of content for Arrowhead, and I'm very, very excited for that shoot because we got to test a lot of good products that day and show, how good the products really were. So that was really, really cool. Something else that happened, I was able to do a wedding with my ex last week, and it's just nice that over the last couple weeks, she and I have been able to actually just have a lot of phone calls and conversations and work together quite a bit over the last few weeks, even month and a half, 2 months. And I don't feel any pain anymore. Like back in December, I worked with her and I felt a tremendous amount of pain from that because I still wanted the relationship back, and I don't want it back anymore. And our friendship has actually flourished because of it. We're able to sit and talk on the phone for an hour and a half and just talk shit. We're talking business for 15 minutes of that, but the rest of it is just talking shit and having fun on the phone, and we are way better off as friends than we ever were as partners. She has a boyfriend now, a guy who's a phenomenal dude named Joel, and they're great, they're awesome, he's awesome, and they are doing significantly better than she and I ever did, and now she and I get to have a wonderful work relationship and friendship outside of it. Now we don't hang out personally, obviously there's no real way for that to happen, but when we're working or when we're talking about work and we can just kind of move into other stuff, we have so much in common that it makes it easy to have that friendship, which is so nice and so wonderful to be able to actually have. And then the last thing that I think is major that I want to talk about before I end off this episode is I'm moving next week. So a week from today, I'll be prepping, and then 5 days from that, I'll actually be moving out. I have my calendar in front of me here. So in 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, in 12 days, I will be moving places. And that is so nerve-wracking to me. I'm in the final push of filming this week, and then next week is solely focused on editing and moving to a new place, and then it'll be getting acclimated to the new place while editing content for December. I had a retreat that unfortunately got canceled in December. They had a great reason for canceling it, which I won't go into, but that opened up my December almost entirely. I have 4 days that are booked up in December. Other than that, it is exclusively focused on editing that month, and that is what we're going to be doing. So that's it for this week of A Year Ahead. I will see you guys next week. Those are some of the things that I'm thinking about and what's going through my mind. The failed relationship that I talked about earlier in Nashville, that girl's still on my mind a lot, and she's been on my mind a lot recently. And I really miss it, but at the end of the day, I go back to what I may have said in one of the other episodes, which is, if she were to reach out today, would I actually want it? And I don't know that the answer is yes to that. I don't know that I would want it back. I don't know if I wouldn't want it back. I feel like I do now, but, I've moved on to the point where I don't know if I could backtrack at this point, although I'm sure I could, but there were enough differences that maybe it wouldn't have worked out. I'm not sure. But it's just relationship stuff, man. She's on my mind a lot, and I haven't been able to kind of push past that. So that's where we're at. It's really disappointing, but a lot of other really good things happening. The world is showing me that I'm in the right place, doing the right things, and pain is inevitable. Pain's gonna happen. So we might as well continue to move on despite it. All right, I will see you guys next week on the next episode of A Year Ahead. Thank you, guys.